gentlemen, the topic given to me is the human element in leadership. Now, the term human in the topic takes me back more than a quarter of a century back when the then managing director calls me in his office and asks me to take over the HR function. Now, that was quite a disappointment for me. For an engineer, then the HR looked like a footnote. So my first reaction was to get very, very disappointed, and I thought that I'd be probably sidelined from the mainstream. Little did I realize that that would open up a new world for me. HR at that time used to be called personnel and administration, doing some very mundane things like payroll and hire and fire and things like that. So that gave me an opportunity not only to transform the then P&A department into a department would become a strategic partner and a culture changer for the whole organization, but also turned out to be a turning point in my career as well. This is the place I come from, basically. This early realization of the human element made me realize a truth which lies at the heart of my talk today. That leadership at its core is deeply human. All kinds of leadership, whether it's a political leadership like Abbasi Saab sitting here, or if you are even leading a small team of 5-6 persons, you are a leader for them. There are hundreds of definitions of leadership all around. You keep hearing about various things. You talk about vision and team building and a role modeling, all these things. But I think what lies, or the definition which really appeals to me is that leadership is the personal power to win hearts and minds for a common purpose. So it's not authority, it's not chair, it's not the title. It's basically the human element which drives leadership. Now again, you see, as I mentioned, there are so many attributes which are considered to be the hallmark of a true leader. But for me, using the language of Jack Welch, these are the basic 4 elements which really distinguishes for a normal leader to be a very effective leader. The first I would say is authenticity. To be your true self, to be at peace with yourself, to have the capacity to admit your mistakes, to have humility in yourself, to be a good listener rather than only a speaker. So authenticity, I would consider a very basic element for a true leader. Next would be the ability to see around the corners, to see things which probably the others cannot see or others cannot foresee, to even imagine the unimaginable, to keep track of the external factors which are going to ultimately affect your workforce or your workplace for that matter. So this again would be another important element for an effective leader. Next, I would say the passion to surround yourself with people smarter and better than yourself. Unfortunately, in these current days, we find few leaders rather on the opposite side. Probably they don't want anyone to come even near them. So I think the ability to have smarter and, as I said, better people in their own functional areas, and to have a team where you let them come up with new ideas, even challenge your own ideas, and that's how you try to get optimum solution in whatever, whether it's a project or a solution or a problem you want to solve. And last but not the least would be the heavy-duty resilience, as we listened from the couple doing mountaineering. So the failure should not really demotivate you and not let you give up on whatever you are doing. So heavy-duty resilience, of course, you see, no leader can claim that he would never make a mistake. You may make huge blunders which may affect everything, but still, one should never lose hope. And again, it's the human element. And I would add another thing to this, which would be emotional intelligence. As you go up the corporate ladder, I feel from my own experience that emotional intelligence is the faculty which becomes more and more important for you. Your professional knowledge or your degrees, whatever you have learned, is important at the initial stages of your career growth, or maybe with a medal, but as you go up the ladder, is the emotional intelligence becomes more and more important. And what is emotional intelligence? Basically starting from self-awareness. To begin with, you need to know and understand your own self. And then social awareness would come next. And ultimately, emotional intelligence is nothing but to build relationships. Relationships, whether it's a workplace level or in your personal life, is going to totally affect whatever you are doing. So these are the basic things I would say. And emotional intelligence strengthens what two basic facilities, which is empathy, understanding each other, and ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, relationship building. This would also have a deep impact on the organizational culture which you are leading. Another thing which is very important, I think, is the values you believe in. Whether they are your own personal values, whether they are your family values, or whether they are organizational core values. So this is what we call is all this philosophy. I've been talking about the leadership. Everything is basically based on the values you have. So like the place where I work, the values, how did we develop our core values? You see, it has become sort of fashionable to put these vision and mission statement and a value statement, frame them very nicely and put them on the walls. And mostly I've seen people, they do not even are aware of their core values. It's just only become, it has become more fashionable. But what we did in our organization is that we worked bottom up, we took a bottom up approach on these. So we started from the floor level, and what we got from the floor up to the board, we really came up with a statement. Even the wordings took us our days and days to decide upon. And ultimately, we ended up with these core values, which you can see on the screen. Like, for example, to begin with the first value of integrity. Integrity, so it's not only the financial integrity we talk about, or the legal compliances which you're supposed to have, but equally important, if not more, is the intellectual integrity which matters. So if you make a commitment, you must honor it. You have to be truthful all the time. And as I said, mentioned somewhere else, you have to be at peace with yourself. Next would be quality. So in our case, like we have a basic guideline that we would rather shut down the refinery than to let any off-spec product leave the refinery. So everyone knows about it and it's taken for granted. You don't need to come and ask guidance from somewhere whether we should let it go or not. It's totally understood at the bottom level that either we meet the specifications which we claim or just stop it. Learning and innovation is our next value. So learning is an ongoing process. Besides having formal training and development programs, we hold regularly conferences on HR, on safety and environment, as well as operation and maintenance. This is an ongoing process. In these conferences, we invite participants and speakers from the outside as well. Being on the board of LUMS and GIK Institute, and also advisory board on NUST and UET Peshawar, it also gives me an opportunity to work on or to help promote industry and academia collaboration. So this is also part of our value for learning and innovation. Teamwork comes next. Teamwork basically, it has to be a genuine teamwork, not just a team for the sake of a team. So team building is basically sharing your ideas, bringing synergy or promoting synergy of the organization, and work closely together to find out optimal solutions and problem solving. Empowerment comes next. As I mentioned, empowerment is enabled to begin with, by training and development, giving exposure, rotation of staff in various functions. As I mentioned my own self, I started from as engineer, and I've worked almost in all the functional departments of the organization. And that's how people are empowered. Effective delegation is extremely important for empowerment. Last but not the least comes the social responsibility. Again, in our case, we take a CSR or social responsibility activities very, very seriously. And these are not only confined to our own employees or their families, we do take care of all the community around us. We, in our organization, we are committed to safe, fair, and inclusive practices and also sustainability. Sustainable growth, you see, these are, recently these have become sort of buzzwords like sustainability, sustainable growth, inclusivity, and gender equity, and all these things. But we have been, like, for example, sustainability, if I say, we have been regularly publishing a sustainability report since 2005, so almost more than 2 decades ago. We provide clean water to all the villages around our area, because it's a water scarce area basically. And we have set up a non-profit setup by name of Atak Sahara Foundation, which basically focuses on providing vocational skills to the community, especially women in our area. They also provide sports facilities, especially we are promoting sports for girls' schools in our area and things like that. Then we have Atak Hospital, which is basically a company hospital, but it also provides medical facilities to the community as well. And they regularly hold free medical camps, blood donation camps, and we even provide like discounted or free dialysis services to the needy people. So we are basically providing health, also health awareness sessions, regularly health awareness sessions on various things like dengue and things like that. We regularly hold these. I remember like 10 years back, none of the hospitals in Pindi, Islamabad area had their own incineration services for hospital waste. So we started providing them hospital waste incineration facility. Even currently, a lot of hospital waste comes to our place for incineration. We also have solid waste management facilities, and we also provided these solid waste containers to various schools and other institutions around our area. We carry out projects. I think last year we carried out, supported almost 60 projects in various universities in this environmental protection area. So again, it's a regular activity going on at the NCPC. So they also have a mobile van to carry out environmental testing. There's some other activities involving the community. These I've already mentioned. This is the picture of the biodiversity park we have. So we have flora and fauna of the Porto region in particular. We are promoting that. This is another park we have where you can see the olive plantation here. It's situated right inside the DHA4 area of Rawalpindi. It covers an area of about 47 acres, I believe. We regularly have flower competitions every spring. Probably Abbas have also visited one of the functions, I recall. So this is the backyard of our office. I think any talk on human leadership will not be complete unless we mention the work-life balance. We consider it extremely important for it. So these are some of the facilities we have for our employees, and some of these facilities are also open to the public, like the cricket ground is already quite frequently being used by outsiders as well. I think before I leave, sitting here in the historical city of Peshawar, I thought I'll share a poem of the Pashto poet, not only a poet but also a tribal chief, a poet, a writer of so many books, including, interestingly, This was a 17th century poet or writer, and even he wrote a book on leadership by the name of the Sarnama. So I have a translation here, but I'll share the Pashto poet as well. And it says, Mard haga ch himmatnak barkatnak, the alama sara khosh pazist au jwag, au mukh kol ehd, na darogh, na fareb, na tashtapak, او لږ ویل ډېرې کول په خاموشۍ کې د غونچې غوندې خوله پوره سینه چاک او لکه ګل شګفته روی په تازه باغ کې همیشه د خوب بلبلو پر بلخاک. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.